Hello and welcome to the Lockdown Beers and Rugby Chat here on New Zealand Sport Radio. I'm Paul, I'll be your host today. And yes, what are we? Just about a minute and 30 seconds away from 5 p.m. where we can crack open our beers. I'm on the Spates today, golden medal ale. Let me know what you're on today, and let's hope that you're getting towards the end of your working day. Should be pretty much wrapped up by now. Let's be honest, wrap it up and start to chill out, because hey, it's not easy being in lockdown and working from home. Just a minute and 10 seconds left. What are we going to talk about? Well, we'll talk about Super Rugby Aupiki, and I think that's how we pronounce it. I don't know. I'm going to need some help with that one. We've also be having a chat about the Wellington Provincial Tides, predominantly the Farah Palmer Cup and the NPC on that one. And also Julian Sevilla. He is back for Wellington this weekend. So we'll have a chat about what does that mean as well. Today you got to go attend the Chiefs media conference call with their new head coach, which was really kind of cool of them. So nice to be part of that and to ask him a few questions on that one. So we'll have a chat about what I found out from Alan Bunting on that one. Didn't get Bill New Zealand Rugby one or any of the other Super Rugby sides, but yeah, we'll have a chat about what all of this means for women's rugby today. Don't forget to also join us at 8 p.m. this evening for the Standoff Show with Benji Marshall having announced his retirement today. So 5 seconds until I get to open my beer, and so I'm sure the boys will have plenty to talk about there with that one. There we go. It's 5 o'clock, folks. Down tools, close all of those work apps, and start winding down and having a bit of a relax. There we go. Let's get the pour of the beer done there. Looks like I'm going to be on my own today. Look, this lockdown is not easy, folks. Today has not been a good day for me. I'll be honest. I'm still in my pajamas. I'm just throwing a hoodie over the top so you can't see that. So yeah, a lot of the old kind of news readers as to what's going on down below. You don't want to know. Not been a great day for me. A bit of anxiety and stuff around this whole lockdown thing, but also around I submitted eventually. I don't know if I missed the deadline or not. Our submission for the New Zealand Podcast Awards, and the sport category, the independent category, and also I think also the People's Choice one. But I'll be honest, I don't think we're going to get enough votes on that one. I hate filling in forms. Part of the reason also that we do these via live streams is I don't have to do any editing. So it was totally outside my comfort zone. Massive anxiety issues around that. So not fun and games for me. But hey, got it done. It's in. Who knows what'll happen? I'm not expecting to win anything, but it's nice to have been nominated, and it's nice to that you guys have nominated us, because I did put the call out there. Please be nominated, and you did. So we've done that. So that's nice, and that's all going on. So hopefully you guys are all okay. If you need any help, do please reach out to people. If you've got no one to reach out to and talk to, reach out to me. Have a chat. Just throw me a DM on Twitter. Or through the Patreon messaging app, or email me, paul@nzsportradio.com, and let's have a chat if you need it, because I say it's not easy, this whole lockdown thing. Hi Simon, thank you for joining us. Great to have you joining us on YouTube. Yes, that's right. We're on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, as well as being as a podcast as well. So you can do all of those kind of things. Anyway, into rugby chat rather than mental health chat. And because that's what we're kind of here for, isn't it? First up, the Super Rugby Aupiki, and I say hopefully I've got the Aupiki right as the pronunciation. What are we going to have then? We're going to have 4 teams: the Blues, the Chiefs, the Hurricanes, and also I've gone blank, the South Island team, which is a merger to cover both the Crusaders and the Highlanders. You might kind of say, why don't the Highlanders have their own team? Well, basically because Southland doesn't have a team. So they will be picking mainly from Otago, who are, in all honesty, going to be relegated from the Premiership this year. So they really would be on the back foot against the other 4 provinces. So other 4, franchises, clubs, whatever you want to call them. So that one, even though when we had the exhibition game, hey reviewer, I'll get onto that. That's interesting. There, we'll talk about. I guess we'll have a quick chat about the NVIDIA test schedule as well. What I was going to say, so this year, we had the exhibition game between the Blues and the Crusaders in women's Super Rugby, and the women's sides. And in those 2 all the coaches came from the provinces within each catchment area. So for the Blues, that was Auckland, North Harbour, and Northland, whereas for the Chiefs, that was Kenny's Manukau, Waikato, Taranaki, and Bay of Plenty. So all the players and all the coaches came from those catchment areas. In the interview today, Alan Bunting said that no, they don't have to pick just from their own region. And if the appropriate player becomes available from outside that, then they will look at what was I going to say? They will look at bringing those people in. So there is that. So that's interesting. But they did say that within the Chiefs catchment area, they shouldn't need to go outside probably for most of their squad, which is actually what I kind of expect. Now, the announcement has been that these 4 teams are going to have a pre-season game, then 3 games during the round robin. They'll play each team just once, and then a final between the top 2. So it'll be either 2 home games or and 1 home and 1 away game, or 2 away games, 1 home game, depending on the season. So depending on how that goes around. So on those ones, that is how they are. That's how the season is. Let's be honest, a home and away season would have been much better, but hey, it started at least, which gives us a basis to grow from. Even though the head of women's rugby at New Zealand Rugby did say that this format was fixed for 2 years. So that's what the expectation is. And then they could look at expanding it, potentially including Pacific and Australian teams. Now, to my mind, that's a massive missed opportunity. Look, we'll have a chat about what other women's leagues there are around, but I don't see why you couldn't then have a final between, or another game between the Super W champions and the Super Rugby Aupiki champions as a cross-Tasman competition. Super W being the women's competition over in Australia, which I'll talk about in a few seconds. So that's basically the season. I assume that the pre-season game will be at home if you've got 2 away games, and away if you've got 2 home games during the season. But who knows? We'll have to wait and see around all of that one. We'll have to see if they're all set up as double headers or whether they're set up as standalone games, and how that all kind of happens. One of the issues we've had historically with the Farah Palmer Cup is the coaching resources that the teams get. I remember 2 years ago having a chat with the Canterbury head coach when they were up playing against Auckland, and the fact that they had a scrum coach for the first time ever. And I was chatting with him about, it's great that you got this extra resource, and he goes, "Yep, the scrum coach has volunteered." So most provincial sides won't have a scrum coach in the Farah Palmer Cup team. So the forwards coach has to do that, as well as all the other jobs that they do. Talking to Alan Bunting, he's going to have 2 assistants, and it looks like he's going to be full time as well. As well as that one, and also then and they're also going to try and do a high performance environment. So obviously, a lot of the players in there are going to be Black Ferns. Apparently, the Black Ferns Sevens will also have a bunch of those will be available as well, with some of those wanting to play in the Women's Rugby World Cup in 2023 here in New Zealand. Obviously, though not obviously, but also the Sevens next year. It's a big year for them because they've got the Commonwealth Games over in the UK. From memory, I think it's in England somewhere. So we'll have to see how it all balances out with that side of things, as well as obviously the HSBC World Series as well. But it does sound like some of the Sevens players will be available in this competition. So you're going to have those people who are already on high performance programs who know about fitness, know about nutrition, all that kind of stuff. But there's going to be a whole bunch of provincial players who aren't in those programs. Now, they are apparently, the Chiefs are going to try and get together before Christmas and sort of put them on that kind of high performance program. So it's interesting to see how that one goes. Science is interesting. The women's competition didn't go with the concept of top 3 playoff. Look, there's only 4 teams. You can't have a top 3 playoff, surely. What I would have thought they might do and I probably will send the women's one, the women's lead in at the New Zealand Rugby an email. But why not also, if you've got a 1-2 game, why not also have a third, fourth playoff game as well, just to add that extra game for the girls or for the women in that one. It would be good to see that. Simon says, look, the women's professional rugby is potentially a blank canvas. Blank canvas, he means. It could be a competition with North America and Europe and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, look, I'm about to do a video about that for your ears only, because I really am worried that we are essentially copying the men's structures for women's rugby. Is that really a good idea, considering the men's game is financially unsustainable, and that they overplay players in Europe? Interesting questions there. So something I want to talk about a bit more length around that. So yes, I think they could put an extra game in there, and I think they could have a Trans-Tasman final as well. As I say, 22 years, the current format. They're looking at contracting 28 players, which to me sounds not very many when you have 23 on a match day. So I've got a funny feeling there's going to be a bunch of training group players beyond that, club players, or obviously club and provincial players, who will get opportunities as well. So yes, the women are going to get paid, but not necessarily all the women that are playing. When you think, I say 28 is a pretty small squad there with that one. So I think we'll have a few players who won't be getting paid. And let's be honest, it's only a 4-week regular season, only 5 games maximum, right? So with the preseason. So whilst they are going to get paid, it's not going to be a full what do you call it? A full annual salary, obviously, because of that. From that point of view. Look, good to have it. Look, it's a good step forward, but there's a long way to go with this one. Let's be honest, but it is looking through that to fill that gap between provincial and international rugby, which obviously we have with Super Rugby already. Now, part of that is, if we look at the end of this provincial rugby season, the Black Ferns aren't taking part because of their tour to Europe. We see, and that's expected to happen next year as well. Historically, the Black Ferns the international players have all played in the provincial competition, lifting that up. So yes. Look, it's thought out. There aren't. It looks like things have been happening. Look, we've been saying for quite a long time now that we know this competition was going to happen next year. It was just a matter of when it was going to happen. It was used a bit as a bargaining chip around the Silver Lake deal. There was a comment earlier saying that if we don't get the Silver Lake money, we won't be able to do this kind of thing. Well, we don't seem to have Silver Lake money yet, and we are doing this kind of thing. So, look, that was a little bit of that. It was never nice to see it being used as a bargaining chip in that one. At least look, it has happened, which is great to see. Sorry, beer break, folks, for those of you on the podcast audio podcast who can't hear. There we go. So that's pretty much it around Super Rugby Aupiki. But let's just compare that then to other women's competitions, sports competitions that are going on. Look, this has been kicked off in 2022. We look across to Australia. They've had Super W since 2018. And they already have 6 teams there. So 5 teams for the Super Rugby franchises, and then they've added a President's 15 as well this year to take it up to 6 teams in that competition. So we're playing catch up with Australia from that point of view. It's great to see Australia's had that competition going for a while. The Waratahs, have won all 4 editions of that so far. So since that's been going since 2018. So we are playing catch up with them in that one. If you think across the across the water as well, or across the NRL have had a women's competition that the New Zealand Warriors have taken part in 3 seasons, and again that's been going since 2018 as well. Well, instituted in the 6th of December 2017, so look pretty much the same sort of time. 2018 was the first season. Now, only 4 teams in that last year. That's going up and down, yo-yoing as they try and get it off the ground properly. At the moment, the code that's done the best in this space is definitely the AFL. AFL have been going since 2017 now, and have got themselves up to 14 women's teams. And so you've got to say that the AFL are the side that really has stepped things up, has really taken this by the horns, invested in it, and got it running properly, and has got a number of state competitions beneath it as well. So you've got to say, yeah, AFL is perhaps the best one. And even there, when we're talking about them being professionals, their tier one players in next year will be getting paid $37,000, $155. So $155. So look, not a lot of money. At the end of the day, we're not talking football professional level or even men's rugby professional levels in that one, but it's going in the right direction. I mean, so they've got 14 teams now playing. So that's got to be something that I'm not saying that Super Rugby Aupiki should be looking at having 14 teams here in New Zealand. That would be overkill. We just don't have the market for that or the player base. But I do say that we've got to. That AFL is one that we should be learning from, because clearly that has been going well and has been growing as well. That's where we're at, say playing catch up, but hopefully we're heading in the right direction. Obviously, the commitment for 2 years, we know what it's going to be like for 2 years at least before they think about expanding it. Obviously, Moana Pacifica would be a fantastic addition to this, and would be nice if they've been included. If they've been included. Now, clearly, they've got a lot on their hands at the moment, just standing up the men's team. Perhaps a bit too much to put up a women's team as well. Also, needs to be working Southland. Let's be honest. So we need that 14th province that's in the NPC, also in the Farah Palmer Cup as well. So let's hope that that there's work going on down there on that one. Simon, points out that there is a new sevens professional club competition in the USA that has got men's and women's side, and also equal money on both sides, salaries wise, from what I understand. So it's going to be interesting to see if that can stand up and survive. They've had a combine, I think, I can't remember if it was this weekend or next week or last weekend, that they had the first weekend of games. I do need to check back in on that one to see how that is going. Great setup, a lot of work to go. Next up then, Waikato, both the men's and women's teams, so the Bunnings NPC team and the Farah Palmer Cup team, both got out of Hamilton before the lockdown, went into isolation, got tested. They've all had negative tests now, which is great to see. They have been basing themselves out of a place called the Lodge, the Podium Lodge in Cambridge. Now, Cambridge is the home of Cycling New Zealand with the velodrome there, and essentially the Podium Lodge is a mini Olympic village kind of style or inspired facility. So, designed for athletes who are attending the velodrome. It's also near St Paul's School, which is where Waikato men's team, provincial team, have trained in the past. So I assume that's where that they're using the school's facilities and pitches for training, while staying at some of the lodge facilities where the Blues also stayed earlier in the year. So it's good that to see that there are proper facilities there that can be roped off. They're on the edge of town, so it's not like they're mixing with many people, and that's how it's all been done. Great to see they've all tested negative as well. The Waikato women are flying down to Canterbury now to play in the final on Saturday, so it looks like it's all gone through. And obviously they'll be following all of the policies, etc. They're flying from Hamilton Airport, which is actually in Cambridge. It's not actually in Hamilton itself, really. So it's outside of the zone, and they're heading off down to that. to that game this weekend. On that note, the Manawa 2 versus Hawke's Bay championship game is also going ahead as well. So great to see that. There's a whole bunch of there's some new rules being announced today, apparently around how many people can be at outdoor events and things. So so we'll have to see what kind of crowds we will get at these games and how they manage to enforce 1 meter of spacing and all that kind of stuff. So interesting times, folks. I'm not over all of that kind of stuff. We'll just see. And whatever it is, it is. I'm not going to comment whether it's right or wrong. It just is what it is. And just let's get on with it. I've got other things to stress about personally, to be honest. Paul Simon says that the AFL is actually looking at expanding to 18 teams in the women's team. Wow. AFL really is leading the way in women's professional sports. Perhaps also the Big Bash as well in the cricket. But obviously, AFL being a footy code like rugby union, it's the more comparable one. I kind of think with that as to what is potentially possible, considering some of the crowds that they get for that, like 10, 15,000, I think, for their games that aren't double headers. Also, Julian Surveyor has been named in the Wellington squad for this coming weekend. Sorry, another beer break there, folks, for you listening to the podcast. He lives up in Auckland, so he has left the Auckland level 3 and apparently followed all of the rules properly and is down in Wellington now. He must have got, if he's playing this coming weekend and it's a 12-day thing, he must have moved. So there's a 12-day playing protocol of contact training before playing a game. They are next. So down there in Wellington, we will. So you see, he must be down there since the middle of last week. Now we talked yesterday about the fact that New Zealand Rugby had put in applications for North Harbour, Auckland, and Counties Manukau to move out of the Auckland area so they could continue with the NPC. Now, clearly, there's a difference between moving one person and moving what is probably closer to 120 people to do that. So clearly, the logistics are different there, and it's easier for one person to move than it is 120 and to manage that. So, but surely the fact that that Julian has been able to go to Wellington and get all the paperwork properly in place is a good sign that possibly we will get the other NPC teams to move as well. Now, I've said before, why don't they use Cambridge? It's clearly that's where the Blues and stuff were. Looking at the size of the facilities, if Waikato is already there, you're not going to fit in 3 more provinces into that facility that they have in Cambridge. So now I understand why they're looking at Taupo rather than Cambridge as a location for those 3 teams. And we'll have to see if Taupo is the place that they have put in for again, or if they've chosen another location instead, somewhere potentially like Rotorua, for example. It could be one and share that ground with Bay of Plenty, the international stadium there, or somewhere else entirely. So yeah, mainly Super Rugby and NPC chat today. Looking at one of the things that the reviewer has said on YouTube is that World Rugby has released the end-of-year test schedule and that there's 35 games expected. Now, I'm assuming that doesn't include the Samoa games. As unfortunately, as we said yesterday, Samoa have pulled out of their end-of-year tour, as well as pulling out the Dubai Sevens as part of the HSBC World Series as well. There's also, I'll have to also wait and see as to what rules the Box have to go through as they travel up to France to do some Rugby World Cup 2023 promotions before heading over to the UK for their 3 games against Wales, Scotland, and England. But yeah, hopefully all those games will be available. Look, it's nice that World Rugby has announced them, but let's be honest, most of these games have been announced already individually, and you can always go on Wikipedia and put in end of year rugby or end of year tour into Google and Innoviad Tour Wiki, and you'll get a Wikipedia page with all these games listed on it. So that's where I normally go, and it's been the best resource for sort of pulls together all of those international games in a sort of a one-pager that's easy to read. But yeah, good to see that's all going. Okay, then. Joshua Scott says Wales All Blacks will be will have a Welsh B team. Yeah, yes and no. We kind of touched on this last evening on the Driving Maul show when we talked about the end of season games. Now, the USA game and the Wales game are both before the November international test window opens. Therefore, clubs are not obligated to release their players for those games, which essentially means those Welsh players who are playing in England will not be released by the Gallagher Premiership sides, and so forth will not be available for that game. But I mean, players like Alwyn Jones, Liam Williams, etc., all play in Wales and will be released. So they will have those British and Irish Lions available to them. There are a couple of positions that are an issue. Fly half being the main one, with Dan Bigger playing for Northampton Saints, and I've gone and Sheedy playing for Bristol. So those have been their first and second choice fly halves, or first 5/8 for the last season. And so yes, it's not a Welsh B team, but there will be some positions where they don't have all their resources available. But with Gareth Anscombe back from his 2-year injury issues and has played 2 games now, it'll be good to see if he can come back and fill in that space. Josh in the live chat there reckons that there are 8 players in Wales who are out with injury, including Liam Williams. That's a shame to see. Look, all teams always have injured players. Let's be honest, the All Blacks have been playing without Sam Cane. We've had a number of props coming back, for example, from injury. We've not had Papi Leahy. We've not had, and obviously we've also had other reasons for players not travelling, such as Aaron Smith and Sam Whitelock. Look, you're always going to have players missing. You're never going to. It's very, very rare that a team has got all of their players fit and available to play. And so that's just part of playing rugby as it is there. And Josh Scott says it's Michael Collins could be playing the All Blacks. That is very true. So he's got a Welsh grandfather or grandmother. I'm not sure which one it is. So the ex-Blues and Highlanders player who is now playing for the Ospreys. I think it's Ospreys over there in Wales, has had a really good start to his career over there, and will be being looked at as a potential 12 or 13. I believe I don't think George North is still injured. So yeah, look, he's definitely got an opportunity to get into the centres there. Was always played out of position by the Blues, which is why Auckland or Blues fans aren't a big fan of his, but a much better centre than he is fullback. So yes, no good. He is in with a shout of facing the All Blacks. That is for sure. That could be his debut game. And boy, meteoric rise for him there. And good luck to him over in Wales. Hope he's enjoying it. It looks like he's going well so far on the pitch. Right there, folks. So that's our 5 p.m. lockdown beers and rugby chat to catch you up to date with all the news from the last 24 hours. Do join me again tomorrow at 5 p.m. I'll go through all the rugby news from the past, from the next 24 hours. And we'll talk about all of that. As I say, if you would like to come on screen and chat with me and have a yarn, then just drop me a line and I'll send you the link. Also, I put the link out. I think I forgot to do it today, but I normally put the link out there on Twitter as well for anyone who wants to jump on and have a chat with me. So hope you're all staying safe. Hope you're all in a good space. As I've said, do reach out and talk to somebody if you need to, or if you even if you don't need to. It's good to do so. I say I've had a bit of a difficult day today, but hey, it is what it is, and we'll move on and look forward to talking to you all tomorrow.